want to talk about tonight a little bit are the things that you've already learned here and how those allow you to personalize. And because I know some of you have worked out little ways that you use statements, essences, and neighborhoods, I'm also interested in the little tricks that you do that can help other people to personalize, because this is the bottom line of how this process got created. Was what I just knew was there were elements of your individual personality that were the keys to you doing something special. Not the right way, your way. And that's the first thing we have to do. We have to get rid of the right way to do it. Oh, there's a way casting directors like it. Well, probably. They all have their individual tastes. But it doesn't matter ultimately, because somebody that engages them can do it in a way they don't like it. If that engages, it's what's alive in the room. What isn't dead meat in the room. You know? So if we can give that one up, there's no rules. You know, there's no checklist of how to do it right for the actor or the writer. You know, just the moment you follow Bob What's-His-Name's perfect outline of a screenplay is the moment you'll have the perfectly most boring screenplay. Am I right, Bob? You know, you've got to break from that. I mean, that's those guideposts that, you know, the great screenwriting professors, the great acting professors, those guideposts are where to start, absolutely, because those guys have worked out a lot of problems. But then it's about, okay, now that with this roadmap, how do I play with this and twist it so it gets to be signature? It can't be the right way. It's got to be signature. Now, the things that you've learned, Andrea, did you have something you wanted to ask?
I was just curious, do you think Jude Law could have
Oh.
personalized, or is he too shallow as an actor?
No. Let me have an hour with him.
Yeah.
Truly, I sat there going, because I'm a house calculator. I count the number of seats and I count the number and what's the potential gross. When you work on Broadway as a kid, you learn to do that. And the grosses in a Broadway house have gone up so much since I was a kid. You know, because literally that house can do $647,000 in a night if it's sold at max seats. That's a lot of money. That's a lot of money. And I'm sitting there, what did you ask? Could he have done it? Yes. I'm sitting there calculating how much money people are coughing up to have a perfectly valid, credible, artistic even rendition, but not a soul experience. And I'm thinking, you give me 1 hour with this man, and I will get him. All I have to do is, I can pick any speech, to be or not to be, or just because I know I could get him. And see, the thing, those of you in acting class, the moment that happens, the moment you come into it, it's like good sex. You know, you don't go back. You know, that's good, the other stuff ain't. So the moment you have that thing, and I know that if I gave him an hour's experience of, oh, this is what it could be like, he might not hit that in every speech every night, but that's what he'd be working for all the time, and this is the least you can do. The audience needs to at least know you're trying to do it, and then when you do it, so much the better. But that effort of, I will let you see it. I will, if I possibly can do it. I know I could have made that change. He's totally capable of it. There are a few that aren't, truly. I mean, there are some folks that just don't have the storyteller in them, that decide to be actors, and I never can figure that one out. Because there's just some people that think it's, I don't know what they think, but anybody who's got a storyteller in them can be brought up to personal level. So it's harder for some people because some of us are more shielded and protected because of various things, or we're so cursed by right and wrong. Oh, what if I make a mistake? What if I do it the wrong way? Then I'll be kicked out of show business, right? If only. If only there were a court that kicked you out of show business. There'd be so many performances I wouldn't have to watch. But there aren't. You know, so instead, I don't mean you guys, I mean ones I paid for. I think it's possible for anybody to do it, and I think once you touch on that, it's really hard to go back. I think if he felt that in one speech, he would have then been on it, to give those kind of performance every night. The audience would have felt that, and at certain moments there would have been that electrifying thing where you aren't watching a performance, you're asking yourself that question of, this is really him, right? This is, I'm watching something I shouldn't be watching here, you know?
Yeah.
If we're going to pay to be voyeurs, we ought to be seeing something we shouldn't be.
So are you saying that he just lacked the tool to get there, or he was just
You know,
maybe lazy?
and I don't know, I can't say what he
At
lacked.
this point,
There was, I believe there was some tool, some craftsmanship lacking in that I think the director was a fairly standard English classical director, and I don't think that director may have been as involved in a personalized performance as Jude Law needed for support. And then I also think that as an actor, his training is more about gesticulation than it is about soul. I think that is one of the downsides of classical English training. But does he have the intelligence? Does he have the heart? Does he have the soul? Does he have the guts? Does he have the testicles? Yes. I have no question that he has all that stuff. No question, because he's shown that at moments. He's done inspired little moments. Most of them were around movement. It always seems to be that when he can, that's how he, but that's fine. I would have left all the movement in. I would give him more if that, but it was putting himself on the line. I think maybe there was some lack of commitment, there was some lack of guidance, and maybe there was some lack of willingness. It takes a lot of guts to go out every night in Hamlet and say the things. That's why it was so charming when he said, "And do not saw the air thus," and he took the laugh. He let the audience make fun of him. And that was the one moment where I thought, oh, now I'm getting a little of this guy, you know? I'm getting a little of life up there. Yeah. But he's certainly not incapable. He wouldn't be where he is if he were not a credible, intelligent human being, you know, at all. Yes, sir.
What was the thing in Act 4 after intermission that he didn't do? You said you missed something.
Don't. I'll tell you. But it's too. I have to go through 3 things in Act.
Copy that.
I can tell Travis because he's a Shakespeare person. I would have to. He was asking for that moment in Act 4 that you have to hit, and it's complex. So here's how you do it. Whether you, I don't, you know, many of you go Shakespeare. I don't ever want to do it. I don't care. It's fine. It's fine. You know, somehow it takes care of itself. Doesn't need you. It manages to survive without any of you, who aren't interested. But in anything, whether you just want to, whether you want to do commercials or you want to do sitcom that really, you know, here are some little tricks that have come up in class. Just in terms of picking up a piece of material, any piece of material that you're working on, rehearsing or auditioning, run it with your essences in mind. Not because your essences are the right things to use, but because, hey, they speak to something in you. We wouldn't have come up with those little statements if they didn't have some relationship to you. So if you run a piece of material from one essence or another, you know, Jen has an essence called "Don't make me use this whip because..."
Don't make me crack this whip because you're going to like it, and then I'm going to have to bring this whip every time.
Okay. Yeah, but she wants to use that element of herself. That's one reading of something. What's another of your goofier ones?
Somehow I just lost my way to my favorite store.
Yeah, okay. Now, if she reads a piece of material with "Don't make me crack this whip" one time through, and then lost my way to my favorite store. Now, are these, how can these both be elements of one woman? That she can be this finagled and also this, you know, commanding. Well, we call it Jen. She can be both of those things, right? And so to read a piece of material just from those two are going to, first of all, give her some approaches and some tones and some shades and some things that are interesting. But as we say when we wrap up, those of you who have forgotten, if you read a scene through 7 times, one time colored by each of your essences, at the end of those 7 times, some miracles will occur. You will absolutely know the lines. There's no question about that. You won't have to go over the lines anymore. They'll be done. You will have touched on some major pillars. We've been running across an image that has been useful to us in the class recently, which is if you're going to New York, you know, and you say, "I've never been to New York. How do I where do I go? What do I do?" Smith will tell you the avenues. If we give you the avenues, you can handle New York. Now, you won't know everything, and then Broadway goes across, and there's some really sin in the village. You know, there are things that will screw you up. But if you've basically got